This is the AODELAN wireless LANC controller, and there's an on-off switch here because it's run by battery. It's a wireless transmitter inside here, and this mounts to your tripod. You can loosen that up, but there's also a battery compartment here where I have two AAA alkaline batteries in there right now. So once you hook it up, pairs really easily with this little receiver here. This has a 2.5mm jack there, and it plugs right into your camera. The downside that I found with this jack is that it doesn't exactly fit when the jack is right up against here, like on the Sony FS7, for example. So if I try to plug this into the port directly here, it's pushing up against the side of the camera, and I don't want to break the jack, so I'm not going to do that. So instead, I have to use an extension cable here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in here so that the receiver can control the zoom and other functions on the camera. Now I also have it plugged into this Hadean VLC1. This is a LANC controlled device. This allows you to control an external motor hooked up to your lens, but for this purpose I'm only going to use it because it has this speed display, which is really useful to be able to see what speed your zoom is going. So the zoom range for LANC ranges from 0 to 8. So if I push this all the way, you can see it goes to 8, and I go back to 0 in the middle, and then -8 when I push the controller in the other direction. Now the reason why I have this hooked up is because I wanted to show this one thing about this particular controller. This is a great controller because I don't know of any other controller on the market that does wireless LANC control for cameras. So from that perspective, it's really unique, and I'd highly recommend it if that is what you absolutely need, a wireless LANC controller. But I think there are a couple ways to improve this. One is to have an extension cable for the receiver for those people who have a camera like the FS7, where it's just not possible to plug in the receiver directly into the LANC remote jack. But the other thing is, look at when I push on this zoom controller, this zoom rocker, watch it change from 0 to 8. I'm going to go slowly, and you can see that is 1, that is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at that angle, that's 8. But watch, I'm going to push the zoom rocker even further. Look at how much further it goes beyond 8. So this whole range from there to there, that's all the top speed of 8. What I wish is that they would have spread out the zoom speeds across the entire mechanical range of this rocker so that it's evenly spaced out. Because right now you're really kind of only using half of the available motion of the rocker. That's where you get to the top speed, but again, all this is unused dead zone here. Same thing goes when you zoom out. So if I were to zoom out, watch it go negative, -1, -2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right there. So that again is max negative speed, but now look, see, there's all this dead zone here where it's just -8. So that's one thing, but in practice, what I actually found is that I'm used to having a very small range of motion on the rocker, so you just have to be really gentle with the rocker, and if you like going all the way, well, you're going to find that there's a big dead zone at the end here where you move it and the speed doesn't change at all. So it's only within the first, say, 50% of the rocker motion where you're going to get your zoom control. All right, now let's take a look at the rest of this. So there is an iris control button here for auto and manual. When you put it in manual mode, you can use the plus/minus buttons to increase the exposure by opening up the iris, minus makes it darker by stopping down on the iris, and you can adjust the speed of the iris between a 1 and a 2, which is fast and slow. There's also a focus auto manual button here, so when you have it in manual focus, the plus/minus button helps you rack focus, and there are different speeds for focus as well that you can control through the menu. And then this red button here in the middle is the record button, so when you tap that, camera starts recording. When you tap it again, it stops. This other button here is for playback. So if you wanted to review the clip that you just recorded, you can tap that middle button there. And then the menu button here lets you go into the menu and actually change functions like the zoom direction. Do you want it the natural direction, or the, if you push this button, you could change it to reverse. So I usually leave it in the natural, or maybe we'll call that neutral direction. And then you can go to zoom speed. So I have it set to 3. Just want to show you something real quick here. So if I change the zoom speed to 2 and exit the menu, look at what happens to the top speed here reported by this controller here. So if I go all the way, now the top speed is only 4. So your zoom speed is now only -4 to 4. So basically it's cut in half. Let's go back into the menu and change the zoom speed and set it to 1. So now that it's set to 1, look at what happens to the max zoom speed here. Max zoom speed is just 1 out of 8. So that's 1/8 of the full speed that you're getting there. So this is really like a slow creeping zoom in or out. If you want to get that, you can set it to the slowest zoom speed there. Let's go ahead and set that back to 3, which is the top speed where you get the full range of speed control 0 through 8. Now this is where you would set the iris speed control. Again, there's 2 speeds, 1 or 2. And then if we go to focus speed, there are 3 speeds there, 1 through 3. I found that 3 is maybe not fast enough, but I like it at the fastest speed. Now there is a sleep timer set to 10 minutes by default. It's also a key backlight pairing mode, reset all the settings, and it reports the firmware version right there, and that's the end of the menu. You can exit the menu by pushing exit, and now you're back to this screen. So just make sure to switch it off when you're not using it because it does use up the battery, but you got to switch it on. It pairs automatically with the receiver, so the receiver doesn't require any batteries because it's actually drawing power from the LANC port on the camera. But you will notice that it lights green whenever I push the zoom rocker or any other functions here. The other thing I'll point out is that there's a USB-C port here, which is to update the firmware. It's not for camera control, at least not yet. And then there's a 2.5mm LANC port here, which you could use with the included LANC cable here. So by plugging this in here, you could plug this into a second camera, so control one camera via wired LANC and the other via wireless using the wireless receiver here. And that way you have control over 2 different cameras using a single controller here, which is great for starting and stopping 2 cameras at exactly the same time and stopping them at exactly the same time. There might be some slight variations as far as the timing goes, so I wouldn't necessarily use that as a frame accurate way to synchronize your cameras, but it might get you close enough. So that's just a look at this wireless LANC controller, and I think it's really unique in that it is wireless, the only one on the market that I found. But there's just that you might need an extension cable for the receiver, and you may or may not like that the zoom control only works about half of the range of the rocker, and then this other range here is basically a dead zone at the maximum.
Hey guys, today we're evaluating the wireless camcorder LANC ALNC remote control for Sony and Canon. It's a 2.5mm LANC remote controller. So LANCs are old remote controllers. Sony, for most of their cameras now, you can remote control them with an app, with your phone. But some older cameras, you still have this 2.5mm controller. Oh, and it looks like they have some sort of a wireless. I'll have to try that out. Okay, so it's a very traditional LANC controller. Here you have your zoom or your focus. I actually like those a lot. This is where you all put this on your tripod, and they do have a battery here. You have to put 2 AAA batteries, and you have an on-off here. Here's the controller. You got your focus, your iris. I'm not sure how to program those plus and minus buttons here for maybe focus and iris. I don't know. We'll have to take it, charge my camera, my old FS7 camera, and give it a try. All right, so we got the we got the controller charged here. It's already showing that it's plugged in. Here's my faithful FS7, and we can get focus on manual, or oh, there you go, autofocus and manual focus. I can, let's see here what we're focusing on. There you go. It's very, very subtle. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it, but there you go. It's getting super autofocus, and now we can bring it back again, and looks like it's about in focus now. I wish I had the handle, the push autofocus function on here, but we don't have it. Iris, the same thing. I think we are in auto ISO now. Go to manual, and I can bring this down. Let me bring it up. We're at 3.5 now. Come on. There we go. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you don't press and hold, you just do single presses, and you're changing your irises. It's a little bit stiff. Maybe the focus, we can do the same thing. I think focus you have to press and hold. And of course the record button, menu. Oh yes. We can change the zoom speed. We can change, how do I change that? Iris speed, focus speed, going to sleep. Pairing mode, yeah, this is quite interesting. They do have a wireless little thing. I'm not sure how far the wireless little thing can work, but so far, let's go back to my zoom. Yeah, I know it's low light. Let's see here, we're out of focus, so there you go. Now we're in focus. I can't control that focus speed. I have to go into the manual, but hey, it's working, and it's working great. It's a great product.